I've tried to take my own life twice. I was like 16 and I was living in Tucson, Arizona. That's where I grew up with my parents. And if I really think about it, I've always been very self-critical. I've always blamed myself for everything, as something that I did. I'm the youngest of 4 children, but my closest sister's like 11 years older than me. And so all my older siblings had these, lives. They were married, having children. And I felt like my parents, had moved on from that stage of life, and I was just kind of an afterthought. And that's not the case, but that's how I felt. And I started rationalizing, well, if I wasn't around, then they could get on with their life, and no one would care if I was gone. And so I was probably having a tough time at school, like socially or with my grades or something. It's insignificant. The point is that I went into my father's closet, and I found a Glock 27 handgun, and I was holding it, sitting on the bed, and I was about to put the gun up to my head and just pull the trigger, no second thoughts, when the doorbell rings, and it was my best friend, Chris. And I didn't know he was going to come over. He didn't know he was going to come over. He just felt like he needed to talk to me. He had no idea what had happened. You can call it divine intervention, you can call it a coincidence, but it was a sign to me that, someone cares about me. Someone cared about me. And that carried me through pretty much the rest of high school. So after high school, I was in a really turbulent time. I started experimenting with drugs, and my friend, he was gone. He left on an LDS mission, and I started running with some people that I'm not too proud to have ever said that I knew them. And we had just some bad influences. I was also dating a nice girl. I went through a pretty rough breakup with this girl, and that was a huge trigger for me, and I spiraled down because I felt completely worthless. I felt like there wasn't anything that I could do to get better. I felt, it was like one of those things where I didn't get out of bed for like 2 weeks, honestly. I went to a really, really dark place, and I decided that I was going to end my life, and no one was going to stop me. I went to my parents' house, and I found that same gun my dad had, and I got the gun and I put the gun in my mouth, and I pulled the trigger, and the gun wasn't loaded. So I found the clip was out, and I put the clip in, and right then my mom came home. She was out. I didn't think she would be back, and she came home and saw me holding the gun, pointing it at myself, and she stopped me. So surprised, and she was angry with me and sad with me and happy that, she was there in time. I started going to therapy. I started talking to somebody, and they helped me work through the issues I was having. Don't let that be your legacy. Don't let that define you, because it does get better, and it is a struggle and it is hard, but you can, make it through, and you have no idea what life has in store for you. I didn't think I was worth, having, someone love me or care for me. I didn't think I would be a dad ever, and now I am. And there is nothing that I wouldn't do for my daughter. There's nothing that I wouldn't do for my wife. And you have that in store for you too. Whether it's a great friendship or a family or a fulfilling career, you just don't know what's around the corner. And life is so great. And, it's this one big adventure that we can't possibly let a single decision in an act of desperation or calculated plan change the course of that life and snuff it out. You just can't do it, because life is so unpredictable. Anything can happen, and it's not worth making that decision and doing what you think you're thinking about doing. So don't do it. Just don't. Please.